Hi, you're watching Agenda Wani, and I'm always glad to focus on things that look at thought leadership and more. And the world is about discourse. The day we stop discussing, then we'll see many things that we will not like. But when I go to this particular forum called the World Islamic Economic Forum, and I've followed quite a few, and they have even given me the honor to moderate a session in Dubai, and followed them to the off session in Cordoba, back here to JB, to KL. Soon, for the first time ever, this year, the World Islamic Economic Forum is going to be at the end of this month, right here in Malaysia, but on the other side of the ocean, which is actually in Kuching, Sarawak. So with that, I would like to start the ball rolling by, sharing great things in a great discourse with Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Fuzi. Thank you so much. Here's the SecGen of the WIEF Foundation, and I think a very key person behind. Another very key personality behind WIEF in the foundation is Dato' Syed Abu Bakar, the managing director of the foundation. But I would like to go to the fact that it's back in Malaysia, not in the peninsula, or Malaya as the Sabahan and Sarawakian like to call us, but in Kuching. So I'm excited. I don't know about you guys.
We are equally excited about holding it in Kuching for the first time, of course, in Kuching, but this is the second time for us to organize this forum outside Kuala Lumpur. The first one being in Johor Bahru a few years ago. There are a number of reasons for it. I think that we can think of as to why Kuching became the most appropriate choice for us. One is that it is useful as part and parcel of decentralizing and also looking at other avenues other than KL as part and process of organizing our forum outside. I think this will be helpful in terms of extending our geographical reach, as it were, beyond Kuala Lumpur. I think from that point of view, it is extremely exciting and interesting. At the same time, it is useful for us to focus on what the Sarawak government itself, the state government itself, wants in respect of this forum in particular. We have been able to craft an interesting program with the theme Disruptive Change, Impact and Challenges. And there will be a special program that will be focusing on Sarawak itself, particularly in respect of promoting trade, the digital economy, as well as investment opportunities within its core in Sarawak. There will be a number of important and key speakers who will be participating in this. So we feel that it is timely and it is most appropriate then, and it is we hope that it will achieve the success that we expected.
The beauty of Malaysia is its diversity, and that's also the beauty of the global trade and wealth creation, especially so if you look at the economic side or the Islamic economies. So I'm going to go to Dato' now, and we have always been trying to move forward in this nation, not by taking from anyone, but by increasing wealth for everyone, but at the same time, re-engineering society. Before, when we had our independence, it's always identifying ethnic groups according to quality of wealth creation, business to this certain ethnic group, the rest are, government officials. If I leverage that on the larger footprint of the Islamic economy around the world, we can also see that to an extent. So inclusiveness is key. Since I've followed WIEF, I think that's one of the things I really treasure about WIEF. So I think it's very fitting for Sarawak to be included in this edition. However, we know that the challenges are many. On top of that, now we have the fourth industrial revolution, hence the disruption. So if the non-digital gaps are already there, imagine the gaps exacerbated with the influx of the disruptive digital technologies. So that I would like to go to you there, because I think Sarawak is a case in point that would, exemplify the challenge or challenges across the globe on how do we bring communities into the ecosystem of wealth creation, because it's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, thank you. To start with, Sarawak is embarking on the digital economy, already using their own budget to do it. They had a big forum recently on this matter, so it's timely that we come to continue the discussion on digital economy, basically the technology, what is there. But what our forum brings is to everyone, not to the big boys, the elite. We bring even to the micro, small, medium enterprise, also to smaller people that were able to join, to listen to speakers that we are bringing in to talk about on this subject. So this is something that is, we feel very rewarding for WIF and also to Sarawak to bring such a forum.
I know it's been said oftentimes, especially also by Chairman Tun Musa Bara, for this audience tonight, I would just like to reiterate the fact that the perception that the word Islamic is there, it's as if its impetus is more for the Muslim community. But since I've been joining WIF, I don't really feel that. It's the same feeling in a different sense. Whenever I go to the Borneo side of Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak, you know, they're more diverse than we are in the peninsula. And they have not so many issues on the social cohesion compared to us. So maybe that's the beauty that we can ingrain into the things that we're going to have at WIF in Kuching.
Yes, because you know that we are inclusive. We said building bridges through business, meaning we didn't even identify religion. And talking about that, we are not involved in religion or politics.
Yes.
We are basically more bridging business between Muslim and non-Muslim, Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries. And also from the bigger picture, the big boys and also the smaller boys, they are able to come and meet and network. Normally, I would think our strength of WIF is basically the networking. Besides listening to all those panel discussion and things like that.
Yeah. So I have to go for the first break, but if you don't know it already, you have to know that Steve Wozniak is going to be there, and that's been confirmed. I'm hoping, you know, to grab a few minutes with him as a journalist, but let's see how. But the co-founder of Apple for the first time ever at World Islamic Economic Forum, this time exclusively in Kuching, Sarawak. Let's continue that discussion after this break. World Islamic Economic Forum, WIEF, Steve Wozniak is going to be here in Malaysia, in Kuching more specifically, at the WIEF at BCCK, Borneo Convention Center in Kuching. And what's going to happen at the end of this month is not that far off. Steve Wozniak, country.
He's a very important personality. I think those who are involved with, who are IT savvy, the millennials, I think everybody knows him, people who use Apple especially. It is exciting to have him here. But the most important thing is to get him to speak and to give his views, to articulate his vision. How, for example, disruptive change impacts particularly developing countries, and in specifically developing Muslim countries, and to see how the opportunities can be undertaken by business, the private sector, in terms of benefiting from what is happening today. Now, when we talk, of course, of disruptive change, we are referring not only to IoT, we're talking about blockchain, we're talking about automatic vehicles and so on, big data and so on and so forth. So we hope that with his presence, he would be able to articulate his views. And there is an opportunity for participants to even ask questions from him This is important indeed. It is not easy to bring him
Correct.
over to Kuching.
Yeah, I
So
could
we are
imagine.
very delighted that he's able to spend time, in fact, more time, even longer than the session itself, to stay on in Sarawak. I think there's a lot that we can learn from him in the course of his participation at the face-to-face session at the forum itself.
Sometimes seeing is believing.
Yeah.
You know, Malaysia has already have Grab, for example. We're proud to have Grab. We're going higher and higher in valuation, and sometimes people don't think like we can have successful companies like what Silicon Valley can produce. But Steve will be here, and it's nice to see that coming together of views from the local experts. So Dato', if I paint it at that picture, but Sarawak is also the most challenging of geography for Malaysia, where you've got pockets of people in very, very far away from public amenities and infrastructure. For example, just a few months ago, the Yang Mak Berhormat Chief Minister said that they're going to build 1,000 telco towers, telecommunication towers, just to network.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want gigabits of connection anymore, because he said that putar, that thing, that sign you have when you're waiting to download. He wants petabytes of speed and data. And yet at the same time, we're talking about people who the students have to take 4 hours trip just to go to school, across rivers, across forests, for example. So I think this is a coming together that needs to happen, and what better way to showcase it than at WIEF?
Yeah, having Steve Wozniak here is a good step to bring very international, very well-known Apple. He's an Apple co-founder.
Yes.
To bring to Sarawak is sort of make Sarawak known to the world.
Yes.
That's one thing. And also, this is a start that we're taking the first step of how to also inject the ability of the people, so that they will rise to the occasion and to see Steve Wozniak for the first time. But not forgetting, it's like any other places where we hold our forum.
Yes.
So Kuching is where we also bring in other people, other delegates from other parts of the world. Those who have never heard of Kuching, wouldn't go there. This is opportunity. They will go.
Exactly.
For not only for Steve Wozniak, for the program that we are pushing, that they will benefit from.
Yeah. Tan Sri, digital economy is here already, is rapidly moving, but there's still also the old economy, cross-border trade, TPPA, Trump didn't like it, it didn't get signed by him, and even climate change has been questioned by the leadership of the United States of America right now. So if we look at the world right now, what order do we have? I think is also pertinent to the discussions of wealth creation, because you can't just sell products and services to your own citizens if you're a country. Now it goes all over. Yeah. But the world is not that harmonious effectively like that. There are still gaps, there are still blocks and stuff. So how do you look at WIEF in terms of positioning that?
Yeah, I think we have to accept what is happening now. The reality is that the world is advancing, improving technologically. I think developing countries should not be left behind. We have to recognize what is happening, the so-called fourth industrial revolution, the emergence of the era of digital economy. And countries who are not able to embrace it would certainly be left behind. Okay. So we see the WIEF as providing a platform to complement what the government is trying to do in terms of not only creating the awareness, but also providing the opportunity for governments and the private sector to see what they can do in terms of improving and advancing this digital economy. I think as we move ahead, I think increasingly the digital economy, those that affect, for example, disruptive change that we talked about earlier, I think would constitute perhaps the larger proportion of the GDP of each country. And it's interesting that Sarawak, within the status of Malaysia, is one of those leading states that has not only put their policies in place, but they have also set up their own special authority to deal with this, and also providing the infrastructure and the resources necessary to its budget allocation announced yesterday to enable the state to advance in this particular field, which is extremely useful.
I think since I've been a journalist, it's the first state in Malaysia which has really announced a solid blueprint for digital economy.
Exactly.
You know, so that's amazing. We have to go for the last break, but once we're back, I want to look at the world again, because WIEF moves around the world. It's not just home to any country. It moves around. It's shared by many. So, but the world sometimes is not sharing. We look at West Asia or Middle East, as the Westerners like to call it, and there seems to be like 2 blocks now. We look at London, where WIEF is also very closely linked, and that's Brexit and the EU. So, you know, while we're going for solidarity and networking and partnership, there are partnerships that are unraveling across regions and geographies of the world. So, but the one similar thing that all of them have is the cloud and the networking to WIEF. So it will be great to get your views from the inside. How do you look at that? Because maybe politically there are some tensions that you cannot avoid, but in terms of wealth creation, especially with digital economy, with the networking already set, that could continue and maybe even help the political side. I want to get your frank views on that right after the short break, because this is just a precursor to the best discourse around in November, that is WIEF after this. Fourth Industrial Revolution, digital disruption. We at Astro One know all about it. We even have our first ever ASEAN level forum and discourse called COMA on this, how digital disruption is changing the way we communicate. That concerns everyone, not just people in the media. But the world, as we know it, sometimes looks like it's not setting right. It's starting to gravitate and it's going across, away from one another. Brexit, West Asia or Middle East. But WIEF links.
This is certainly outside the discourse of our normal WIEF. As Datuk Said mentioned, our tagline is always not to speak on anything that relates to religion and politics. But having said that, I could just mention briefly that we have to accept the reality that is happening today. I think there seems to be opposing forces at play. If you recall, on the one hand, the majority of the countries were moving towards free trade, multilateral trade, regional trade arrangements, and so on and so forth. And that seems to be the way to move forward. But of course, lately we have seen some forces taking place that is moving away from that direction. But this is the reality. I think countries would be saddled with this and how best, to overcome these various challenges. But I think the important thing, of course, is for us to come ultimately together in addressing all these issues. So when you refer just now to digital economy, to the disruptive change taking place, we have to be seen to be working together, because this is something that will affect us ultimately, failing which I think the impact of it would be extremely negative for all of us.
Yes, Dato', you've managed public listed companies before, you've traveled the world, you've looked at trade as a businessman. Jack Ma, when he was here in Sepang, at the first day DFTZ, Digital Free Trade Zone, went online, said that, this WTO, GATT, which is an important instrument, as Tan Sri would testify, to global trade, is not helping the small guys. It's not really in favor for the small, medium enterprises, even micro ones. But the internet economy, the digital economy, like he was arguing for, so So that's why his dream is the Electronic World Trading Platform, or EWTP, of which DFT ZAG. And we are having the first one outside China. It's an example. So I guess looking at the have-nots, looking at the bottom 40%, these are also key missions of WIEF, if you can please extrapolate, because you're not coming at it because you have not been with the big companies, but you have. But you are now enabling for this other side also to flourish.
Yeah, right. Like doing business now is really not really open to the big boys, even small people who just started. Because the cost of starting business now is way lower, almost the internet cost to start with. So you can see a lot of players, especially the small ones, coming into. You've not seen this before. Normally you have to be a global company doing big businesses. But you see small companies on the internet, and using all this online marketing, whatnot, the ability for them to trade, to do business, and to better themselves in terms of economically.
Correct. I don't want to make the audience feel that WIEF is, very stuffy, because I know it's not. For sure, I know it's not. In Dubai, I even had Gangnam in my session to start off with the Dubai Chamber of Commerce leaders, also in tow. So there's Mocha Fest. It's also it's actually built very much for the young.
Yes, exactly. So the whole idea is to have a comprehensive program, which is multifaceted. In fact, the inclusion of Idea Lab, the inclusion of this platform called Linked Up, it's called, or LinkedIn, as it were, or marketplace of creative art, which is a special program that would be a special attraction to the young, especially. I think it's to add color to the whole program of WIEF, so that you are not only providing a platform for discussion on highly serious and complex and heavy issues, but at the same time provide an opportunity for the young to express themselves in many forms, either in case of performance art, or even painting, perhaps, or in creative writing and creative, for example, literature and so on and so forth. This is something that we thought would be useful to sort of diversify, for example, and provide more multifaceted kind of identity to WIEF as a forum.
Datuk, sometimes managing young people not easy, but WIEF Foundation has many of them. So I give you the last word, 30 seconds. This is not just a stuffy conference.
Yeah, just on the Mocha Fest, we also look at the other angle of Mocha Fest, other than entertainment, is we have what we call Mocha Fellows a few days before Mocha Fest, to give them lectures, interaction, to see how you can get business out of art and being creative art, not just. So we are helping them out how to.
Cool, I'm all for it. I've booked a ticket. So you can help me. Thank you so much. So send in your own views to all the social media platforms that we have, and we have our own app, Android or Apple. So just send in. You can give your views while watching. But more importantly, let's get together in Kuching at VCCK, 21st to 23rd November. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.